Hello, beautiful people. It is another beautiful tutorial Tuesday. I am emerging from my cocoon as a beautiful butterfly. Today, you are here with me, Coach Justin, at Firestorm Freerunning and Acrobatics. And as we emerge from our cocoon, we shall learn our floor Kong and our Kong ups. Let us go and fly away. All right, good morning, class. Today, we are going to be learning the floor Kong and the Kong up. For those of you who know what a Kong vault is, these are the lead-up drills to get us into our Kong vault. The Kong vault is pretty much the main and best known parkour vault. It is where we dive towards an object, push down, pulling our legs through our body and propelling ourselves over that object. That is what we want to lead up to. A lot of people get really excited for the Kong vault, go directly into that, clip their toes, fall on their face a lot, hurt themselves a bit, and unfortunately for even those who get it, they usually don't have very good form and technique, which make it harder to do double Kongs, dive Kongs, and more advanced versions of this trick. So like with all things, we want to make sure we have a very solid foundation with good, proper body position, form, and execution of technique before we go into the Kong vault. So we're going to start with baby steps, get them down right before we lead up to our Kong vault. So we're gonna start with the floor Kong, which just like it sounds like, we're doing our Kong vault on the floor. And we're gonna show you a couple of basic drills to build up from a very small one to a full Kong on the floor, which can then be transferred into the actual Kong vault. So the floor Kong is one of the 3 primary warm-up drills that we always do here for every single parkour class at Firestorm. We have our forward and backward monkey crawls, which you guys already learned in our second tutorial. We have our side-to-side monkey crawls, which you already learned. And then we have our floor Kongs, which is the most advanced floor crawling style drill. This one though, instead of opposite sides moving, everything's moving in unison, which makes it a little easier with your arms and legs, a little more difficult to execute with a few of the other things. So without further ado, let's get into it and see kind of how it works. So the first thing I want you to do is to start on the floor. We're gonna start in a squat position. I want my feet and my knees together. When we do this, we don't want what's called a froggy position, which is our knees out and our hands together. Instead, we want our hands shoulder width apart and our knees together inside of our arms. Now, when I do this, I'm gonna walk my hands forward just a little bit. We can start with this really easily. All I'm going to do is straighten out my arms. This way, I'm again kinematic stacking with my bones. And all I'm gonna do is do a little pop off my feet, pop my booty up just a little bit, load my weight onto my arms, and bring my feet forward. Hands forward, feet forward, hands forward, feet forward. You can do this backwards too. I lean forward, loading the weight onto my arms and my shoulders. I jump up, extend my feet back, bring my hands back. Boop. And we can start really small with this. For some people, this one turns out to be really easy, but for most people, this one is incredibly difficult in the beginning, getting your legs in between your arms. This one also, as we get a little more advanced right now, if you have a bit of a belly, if you are a heavier person, the bigger you are, the more difficult this will become. You're gonna load a lot of weight onto your arms and shoulders, and you're pulling your knees through this very small area right here. So if you got a big belly, it's gonna make it a lot harder for you in the beginning. It's just gonna take a bit longer. Don't give up. So remember, we don't want to give up. We just want to keep practicing by keeping our hands shoulder width apart, our knees together. We're gonna lean forward, load the weight on the arms. Little hops forward, same thing, load the weight on my arms, little hops backwards. Now, once we feel really comfortable with this, which most people do pretty quickly, we are going to start making it a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to the furthest end of this just for the start so you can see the difference between a little tiny one and a bigger one. And for this one, what we do is we start in a push-up position. I'm starting here. And when I do my push-up, I don't want a saggy belly. I don't even want straight right now. I'm gonna load up just a little bit so my booty's up in the air. A little bit of booty shake. That's how I get down on the dance floor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off my feet. I wanna make sure that my head is either neutral or a little down. Do not pull your head up. When your head goes up, you can already see my spine starting to arch and my hips drop. It's gonna be very hard for me to now pull my legs through. All I'm gonna do is land on my knees, 20 push-ups, and skin the tops of my feet. No fun. Burning sensations, no good. So what I'm gonna do is go here. My booty is up just a little bit above the height of my shoulders. I'm gonna jump, load the weight on my hands, boop, and try to pull my legs as close to between my hands as possible. Our goal for this will actually be to get our feet past our hands and be able to land in this strong position with our chest up, tight engaged core, ready to swing, jump, do whatever we want. So when we start this push-up position, again, you can start a little smaller, a little closer if you want to. You can start a little further away to make it more difficult. We're gonna jump, try to bring those hands through. Now you'll notice my hands are having to roll up onto my fingertips to make enough room for my feet to get through. So how do we get our legs through this small space in between our arms, our chest, and the floor, or the object we're vaulting over? Well, the way we do that is a gymnastics technique called a shoulder block. A shoulder block is basically, we're gonna look right here, instead of trying to use my arms to bend, as soon as I do this, I'm no longer using the bones to hold my weight. Now it's the muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints that are doing all the work. They are not as strong as your bones. Also, when you bend your arms so you're ready to push, all you're gonna do is bring yourself closer to the floor and smack your face. It's gonna be funny, but not for you. So what we want to do instead is keep our bones kinematically stacked and use the extension of our shoulder right here. I'm not bending my arms, I'm simply pushing, blocking through my shoulders to give myself a little pop. And what's going to happen is this is going to pop my chest up, raising me 4 to 6 inches higher than I was, giving me a window to swing my legs through. As I pop right here, it's also gonna pull my chest up, so more room for my legs to go through, and now I can land in a solid ending position. We don't want to land like this or like this with our butt up. This is very difficult to go into something else or another skill out of. I would rather land with my chest up, legs engaged, arms back, and ready to swing and jump into whatever my next skill is gonna be. So when you are working on your shoulder block, for most people, this is actually incredibly difficult. It's not that the execution is difficult, it is just that this muscle group that you're using for this is not something you normally do. It's kind of like for those of you who may have been trying this skill, it's that extension of the shoulder, pushing your shoulders to your ears may have been difficult during our handstand techniques. And that is because it's just a muscle group you don't normally use in daily life. If you're not training certain skills, you're not going to be using this muscle group, and it's going to feel really awkward until you get used to it. So there's a few things you can do. Okay? There are 3 different drills that you can practice to get this shoulder blocking technique down. One of them, push-up position. Shoulders down, shoulders up, boop, boop, and try to bounce yourself off the ground. Remember, none of this saggy belly stuff, okay? We can do the same thing we learned a few weeks ago in our handstand, our spider walk handstand. Get up in your handstand, shoulder block, back down, shoulder block, back down. You can do the same thing in reverse for pull-ups. Hang on a bar, pull myself up, drop myself down, pull myself up, drop myself down. These will not only allow you to kind of feel and get a bit more understanding of that muscle group, you're only gonna learn if you use it, but it also allows you to build some strength for it to get a stronger block. And although this is a small part now, blocking will become huge for bigger vaults, double vaults, and for all of your tumbling drills. You cannot do a round off, you cannot do a back handspring, a lot of these skills without a solid shoulder block. So start learning it now on the smaller skills so you don't have to have it kill you later on for the bigger skills. All right, beautiful members of the class. Now that we have understood our shoulder block and how that technique is gonna work, hopefully you've done that drill a few times now. Okay. Now that we got that down, we're gonna put it into action with our floor Kong. Our goal now will be, as we jump into our Kong, our floor Kong here, as I load the weight into my shoulders, right when I'm jumping, I'm going to explode through my shoulders right here. As I do that, I'm gonna pull my chest up and tuck my legs between my arms. So I'm gonna go here, jump, push. Now you'll notice this has pushed me through that area I was in, and also allowed me to land on my feet. Again, if I don't do my shoulder block and I just leave my hands on the ground, although some people are very flexible or have longer arms and can do this, it is incredibly difficult. But if I do it like this, even if I make my feet through, you'll notice I'm in this really weird tucked position. I'm not very strong. My core isn't engaged. My back is rounded. Ugh, no good, no good. We want to be right here. I'm gonna explode through the ground, and remember what we learned in all of our other vaults. Grip it and rip it. As you block, throw the floor behind you. This is what's gonna propel you past the object, or in this case, the space on the floor that you are vaulting through, all right? So I want you to give that shot quite a few times. Also keep in mind, if you watch this, I'm not bending my arms. If I try to bend my arms when I do this and push using my muscles, it doesn't work quite so well. All of this explosive power is coming through my shoulders, my chest, and my back. None of it is coming right here through bending my arms. No biceps and triceps for this one. Once we've got this down on the floor, we're going to use it to get up on top of objects. If you have this one down on the floor and you feel very safe and comfortable in getting over an object, you will be able to use this to transition into actually vaulting over other objects, i.e. Kong vault. Now that we've got our floor Kong, we're blocking through our shoulders and we're able to land our feet past our starting position for our hands. We want to start adding in power. Remember, we don't want to add in power early on. Power without a control is just going to cause you to crash harder or to create bad techniques and skills. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add an arm swing to create additional power into this for longer vaults and more powerful vaults. So one thing that's really, really important when almost everybody learns a Kong, they do the same thing with their arms. They slap the crap out of the ground. Real quick, I just want you to think of this for a second. If I stand here next to an object and I slap it as hard as I can down, do you think it will ever lift me up off of the ground? No, no. But it feels so natural that everybody does it. What we want to do instead is like our arm swing when we jump. Obviously, though, I don't want my arms up there since I'm trying to floor Kong over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my arms behind me. I'm going to swing and propel off my legs, pushing my hands towards where I would want them to start in my push-up position. So for this one, to make it a little easier, we're going to use this line. If my hands were to normally start on this line right here, all I'm going to do instead is come right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing my arms forward. I'm going to extend my arms towards the line. And my goal is that as my arms finish their swing, they are finishing it right where I'm going to touch on the ground. And right before my hands touch the ground, I'm going to start executing my shoulder block. If I wait until all my weight is on my hands before I do my shoulder block, then I have to shoulder block my entire weight. If I start my shoulder block right before, so I'm like blocking into the ground as I'm about to land my hands, then the jump from my legs, that kind of lightweight feeling you feel right as you're kind of at the top of a swing on a swing set, or right when you jump in the air and you have that lightweight wee feeling, it makes you feel very lightweight. It's a lot less work on my arms and shoulders. I can create a lot more power and lift a lot less weight because I'm using the momentum and strength of my legs. So all I'm going to do now is add a little power into this. Here, little arm swing, block. And look at that. I'm going almost the same distance forward past this line as I did from where I jumped. And that's going to be really important later on when we do a Kong vault, especially when you go into your double Kongs or Konging over a big, long object. You don't want to just barely make it past the object unless you want to get it right into tailbone, which I don't think you do. So we want to be able to create this power. So you really want to practice the arm swing to gain that power, no slapping. Now let's take this drill and move it up. Class, now that we've got our floor Kong down and you're getting your feet at least between your hands, if not past them, which is our goal, we are going to take it onto an object. I recommend starting on as small of an object as possible and then building your way up. You can start with a curb, a step, anything like that. And then our eventual goal would be to get to the point where we can do it at least to something that's waist height. Some of the more advanced people can do stuff almost the height of their own head. Just takes a little while to get there. So we want to start small so we're a little more controlled. We're basically going to do the exact same drill that we did before. I'm going to come into my little squat position. I'm going to make sure this is kind of within arm's reach with a little bit of lean. I'm going to start with my hands on top, and all I'm going to do is basically do my floor Kong again and try to get my feet between my hands. When I do this, I want my booty to come up. If my booty stays low and I try to bring my feet forward, I'm not going to be able to get on top of the object. So I'm going to jump up, load the weight on my arms, booty comes up, feet come down through the middle. I'm landing right here. Chest up, nice strong position. For a lot of people, this one can actually be easier sometimes because you don't have to shoulder block as much. Though to be honest, we want to, because without a shoulder block, we will not be able to do a Kong vault. But you can get up and onto your object. No shoulder block necessary, but again, you can see I'm in a low rounded kind of position, not a strong position. And we want to be so strong, you know. Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, not really. It would be very hard to do flips at 250 pounds of solid muscle. Oh yeah. So instead, we are going to talk in this voice for right now because it seems like the right thing to do. So class, what we are going to do is we are going to work on the shoulder block. Remember, we want the weight of our body leaning over the arms before we block through the shoulders, and then we will tuck simultaneously the knees through and land on the feet. It should look a little more like this. I'm here, I reach, booty pops up, block, and put me on top of object. Very nice, yes. Like before, we're gonna add in our arm swing. Remember, fight the urge to Kong up like that, okay? We're going to be swinging the arms. Even if it's a small swing, a swing will always bring more power than just throwing your arms down to the ground. That is the opposite direction that we are trying to go. So we want to create our swing. We're gonna start here. Little swing. Remember, I'm going to finish my swing where I'm putting my hands. Be careful when you're first doing this. If you swing too low and jam your fingers, it's not gonna feel good. You're gonna bust some knuckles. So maybe start a little higher and then set down right at the very end. Okay, so I'm gonna come here, swing, I'm jumping, pushing, and popping myself up onto the object. That is our Kong up. Now remember, when you do this, you don't always have to start in a standing position. You can walk into it. I can take a step, swing my arms, and instead of jumping off both legs, I can jump off my lead leg, and I can swing kick up my back leg. This is a very common one as well. When I walk up to a slightly larger object, I prefer, instead of keeping my feet together, I like to give myself a little pop. Makes things a little easier for me. Oh, hello down there. So there are a few different ways to actually execute this drill. You don't have to do it just the exact way I showed you, but I greatly recommend the arm swing, all the shoulder block drills to create strong, powerful blocks. A strong and powerful block is going to benefit you with everything you do in the future, not just parkour, but tumbling, lots of different acrobatics, handstands, gymnastics, everything. So remember, again, once we put it all together, we'll have a slightly bigger object. I'm gonna come in, swing the arms, block through the shoulders, pull my chest up, legs are together, shoulder width apart. Good to go. Floor Kong and Kong up. All right, class, that is our Kong up and our floor Kong. Now, remember, when you're working on these, shoulder blocks are going to be the building block of a lot of different and more advanced skills you're gonna be doing. So practice those drills. You've got your push-ups with your shoulders. Okay, you wanna make that harder? Lift your feet higher in the air until you're in your handstand position against a wall. Shoulder blocks in your handstand position. After that, what we're gonna do is move on to also your pull-ups using just your shoulders, the opposite direction, still building that muscle and getting you used to it. Do that drill, very important for you. From there, we're doing our floor Kongs. Remember, legs together, knees passing between our arms, full arm swings, and the extension finishes when we connect with the floor. We're blocking right as we're connecting with the floor. As soon as we throw and block off that floor, we are throwing the ground behind us, gripping it and ripping it, popping our chest up and landing in that nice, solid, controlled position. This is gonna get you a great setup for your Kong vault and continuing more advanced versions of the Kong vault, like the dive Kong, the double Kong. If you wanna be really dumb, like I've done up to quadruple Kongs and stuff. I've seen a lot of people do even more. A lot of fun stuff out there. Set yourself up with a solid base. I love your beautiful faces. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that fun stuff. Send this to people trying to learn their basic parkour skills, or just people that want a little more knowledge in their life. And remember, next week we're gonna be doing our final vault in our beginner white rank curriculum, and that is our turn vault. The turn vault's gonna help you get up onto objects while turning your direction to face a new direction, unlike our Kong up, which keeps you facing straight forward and linear. Also allows you to get up and over an object while actually implementing a twist, so you can change a direction and point where you want to go. Oh my God, we're learning so many things, so much more control. I love it, and goodbye. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hold on, wait, I'm gonna come back real quick. Ah! Hee hee.